Hey everybody, it is Friday the 2nd of April 2021 and it's time for another Jonnychipz Weekly. This is episode number 14 and it's Easter, so happy Easter everybody. So yeah, hey everybody, thanks so much for tuning in again this Friday afternoon. If you do celebrate Easter, happy Easter. Hope you have a great long weekend. Obviously, there are those people that have to work it, but hey ho, that's life. I'm afraid. If you're in work, have a great time in work, and obviously if you've managed to get the time off work with the bank holiday, then hope you enjoy yourselves. I've been in the fortunate position this week of being able to use a bit of annual leave up, so I've had this week off work, so feet up a little bit. Caught up on a few bits of reading, a few bits and pieces around the house. So obviously just having a little bit of a relax and bit of downtime with the family this week, which has been pretty cool. Okay, I'm going to keep the format fairly standard this week again. Azure updates will jump on in. We've had a bumper week, so I'm going to keep that as light as possible because there have been a lot of updates this week and it's well worth just having a dip over there and just taking a quick skim through all of those updates. We'll catch up on the Welsh user group. We'll touch on the community callouts. And I wanted to spend a little bit of time this week just talking you through some of the learnings that I've been doing in terms of the Nvidia Jetson Nano devices and the Edge AI object recognition models that I've been using to kind of feed data into an IoT hub, over to time series insights and Power BI dashboards. I just wanted to quickly show you that in reality, just to kind of hopefully give you a little bit of a heads up as to what that kind of stuff looks like. Okay, without further ado, let's jump over to the Azure updates and news. Okay, so yes, been a bumper week this week. I think there's been over 30 updates. I just had a quick look through. So I'm really not going to dwell on these too much. But as always, if you jump on over to the Azure Updates webpage and just have a skim read and just pick out those bits that may be of more relevance to yourself with what you're working on, what you're interested in. But there have been quite as usual, a diverse range of updates this week. So everything from things like app service authentication portal experience has now gone GA. We've had some updates of the Azure Security Center, both for public preview and some GA updates have gone on for March. Azure Monitor is now GA for WVD, for that Windows Virtual Desktop estate that you may have. And like I say, I'm going to skip through a few of these. Some updates on Azure Sphere. We got IBM WebSphere is now enabled on AKS. That's gone available. We've got some Express Route monitoring in Azure Monitor Network Insights has gone GA. What else can we call out here? Open Service Mesh for AKS, the add-on for AKS, has now gone into preview, which is pretty cool. I think that went a couple of days back. We got Kubernetes 1.2 is now supported in AKS, which is pretty cool to see that Microsoft are kind of keeping up with the versions of Kubernetes and getting those out into the portal as quickly as possible. What else have we got then? Some stuff around Cosmos DB. Seems to be quite a few AKS updates, which is pretty cool. So I think I'm going to have to try and start my learning journey on that fairly soon. I don't think there's anything else that I wanted to call out. Like I say, there have been around about 34, 35 updates this week. So it is well worth jumping on over to there. So I mean, things like this, Wire Data 2.0 that was in preview, it's going to be retired in March 2022. So if you are using that, obviously heads up to start thinking about doing something with that. ADE External Tables has gone GA. This is an interesting one actually, and something that I wouldn't mind having a little bit more of a look at it, especially in terms of what I'm doing with the with the video analytics. But Azure Communication Services is now generally available, which is pretty cool. There's some great features about including sort of real-time communications, media, SMS, video, chat, audio in your web app. So pretty cool. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there for the Azure news and updates for the time being, because like I say, there is a lot going on this week, and I really want to try and spend a little bit of time with you this week, just talking around what's been going on with this object recognition stuff that I'm working on. So let's jump on over. We'll look at the Azure, the Welsh Azure news that we've got going on here at the moment. If I can actually change that headline. So, okay, the Welsh Azure user group. We've got our next meeting in less than 2 weeks' time. So it's 15th of April, 2021, 6:30 p.m. BST. So British summertime. Obviously, our clocks in the UK went forward last weekend. So we, like I say, I do mention this quite regularly, only because I think some of the talks that we get, well, I say some, all of the talks that we get, the speakers at these events are phenomenal. I've learned so much from not just helping organise these events, but obviously sitting through and watching the speakers discuss the topic of choice. There just really is some fantastic information being kind of disseminated through these user groups. So if you haven't RSVP'd, please do. That's our next event, 15th of April. We got Anirban, we got Vukasin, and we've got Matt giving us the kind of 15-minute lightning talks on various areas. And then we've got Pete and Liam joining us to talk about controlling a robot arm, 3D printed robot arm through Blazor web app assembly, Signal R, all running through an Azure web app service. So that's a pretty cool talk. Really excited and looking forward to seeing that one. Okay, let's move on quickly then. So I'm going to branch off now into the community callouts. If I can get the correct screen up, where are we? There we go. So yeah, there's, like I say, this week I've been on annual leave, so I've really not been hugely active on socials this week. But let's jump on over. Okay, so the first call out that I wanted to do is for Notts IoT, so Nottingham IoT user group. They got Sarah Maston joining them to talk about this Project 15, which I've only had a brief glimpse of. Again, on the social medias, I saw a quick intro video to Project 15. It's really about that, I believe, that conservation. It's about using technology to kind of, help in places where we really need to start thinking about conservation work. So really keen. I'm going to do my best to join this session with Sarah on the 8th of April. So it's only in sort of six days time. Really interesting to see that. So I just wanted to call those guys out. Go and join the session, RSVP. Notts IoT have some really great sessions, and you'll start to see that a lot of my interest is following some of the IoT space a little bit more deeply at the moment. But yeah, quick shout out to those guys. Go and jump on and RSVP if that takes your interest. Equally, my good friend Pete Gallagher, he's speaking at IoT North. When is it? It's actually in in a few days' time, April the 6th. Is that the same day? No, 6th. Yeah. So Pete's speaking on the 6th, and he's talking about DevOps in an IoT world, which I've not seen this talk from Pete. So I'm really keen to see if I can make that one as well. But I think I might be recording some stuff myself that time, which is unfortunate. But I'm sure, like anything, if these events are recorded, then the videos will be put online afterwards. So I do hope they are recording that one, because I will love to watch that one back. So yeah, quick call out to IoT North and obviously Notts IoT. Go and give those user groups a follow. Join in. Support the talks, because they really are fantastic talks. Some great insights and some great information is kind of disseminated through these talks. So go and give them a follow. This week had a great chat with a few of the guys and gals in the community space, really. So we got Sarah Lean from Microsoft, we've got Shannon from Microsoft, Chris Reddington from Microsoft, and then myself and Jamie. We kind of all took part in just having a general chat around blogging, and I think it came from the point that Sarah was looking to move her her blog from I believe a WordPress site over into a new platform called Ghost, and it's just interesting to see how lots of questions get thrown about and opinions and personal preferences. So I think Sarah just called us all together really because we've all got various different experiences using some of the mainstream blogging platforms or maybe some of the more the niche developer focused platforms. And it was a really interesting chat. And I think, if you give that a watch, if you're wondering how to get started with blogging, or if you should get started with blogging, give that a watch. I mean, I've tweeted it out there, but if you follow Sarah, Tacky Lass, on Twitter, reach out to her YouTube video. She's got it there on her YouTube, so go and give that a watch. It's about an hour long, but it was really good fun to be involved with that particular talk, and some great sort of insights from everybody that took part on that. So go and give that a follow, a like, and let us know what you think. Let us know your opinions. Where do you think we're going with blogging? Okay, Pimaroni have got 20% off if you use this code. I just saw this come up and retweeted that. So I've been buying quite a bit from Pimaroni over the past few months. There's always something that I want to buy from there. So no doubt I'll be using that code at some point this weekend. So I just thought I'd call that out there. If you are going to be buying any kit bits and pieces, then there we go. You've got yourself 20% off. It excludes bare Raspberry Pi boards and shipping, and it ends in 3 days' time on the 5th of April. Okay, just wanted to shout out thanks so much again to April Edwards. Really well received conversation and video that was put out last Friday on the Azure Live twitch.tv channel. Super fun chat with April. I mean, she's such a charismatic person and really knowledgeable in her area with software engineering and DevOps. So really enjoyed that chat, and I think we did go on for a good sort of hour and 15 minutes or so, but just wanted to thank April once again. And if you missed that, obviously it's available on the catch up on YouTube, so go and give that a follow. And like I say, as it is Friday, just wanted to call out Derek Campbell's back. He's back from his paternity leave. He's back into work. I think he's easing himself gently into the whole social thing. As you can imagine, he's got his priorities now with the birth of his new baby. So great to have him back in the community, albeit obviously a cut down version for the time being, whilst he's obviously got his priorities aligned correctly. So that's going out tonight, 6:30 British summertime, BST. Like I say, our clocks went forward in the UK. Be great to have you on. If you jump on over to the Azure Live Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/Azure Live, that'll be airing from 6:30 p.m. tonight. Would be great to have you there if you can. I appreciate it's Good Friday, it's bank holiday. In Wales, things have started easing a little bit. We're allowed now, we don't have to stay local. We can take a little bit of a drive. So I fully expect people to be out and about. So if you do get a chance to catch up on that one, then great. If you're there tonight, brilliant. That would be superb. Right, okay, back to IoT. The AZ220 exam, which is something I'm going through. Great to see Pluralsight have now put this kind of cert path together. So they've finally clubbed all of the great content from the likes of Pete and Jürgen and others. There are others that have put this. So Reza has put some videos together, and I believe there is somebody else that has helped pull all of this information together. I'm just scanning. There we go, James Miller. So that's pretty cool. You can see I've got through the first two objective domains, I believe, or the first two sets. There's still a few videos I think Jürgen and Pete have got to get together at the moment, but I mean it's brilliant now that they finally pulled this together into a cert path. I'm really keen to try and get this exam booked before there's an update in the exam in a couple of weeks' time. So I'm going to rush through watching some more of these videos. I think, where am I up to? I think I'm up to here now, so implementing Edge, which is pretty cool actually, because that's where I've got to with some of the learnings I've been doing with the Jetson Nano. So if you are interested in AZ220, I couldn't recommend this highly enough on Pluralsight. The quality of the videos, certainly from Pete and Jürgen that I've watched so far, have been phenomenal, and I'm sure Reza and obviously James's videos are equally as quality. So can't wait to get those under my belt and start watching those, to be honest. So Go and check that out. Final bit of a call out. Yeah, this WVD AZ140 has finally been released. It's now in beta. I'm pretty sure they probably already sold out to these first 300 beta test takers. Will get an exam discount of 80%, but you never know. Give that a try. I think it's definitely on my radar. Not straight away, but I'm sure that I will pick up this exam at some point soon, because I've done a fair amount with WVD over the last year or so with work. So it's worth just going through the motions of learning along the skills measured piece to just make sure that you've covered every area of the domain that you're looking to learn and study. So yeah, be jumping on that at some point fairly soon. Okay, so final part of the show. Like I said, I wanted to try and keep this as brief as possible this week. So if I bear with me one second, I'm just going to get all my bits and pieces up on the screen here just to make sure. And we'll flick back over to my desktop. Okay, so for those of you that have been following me, you'll have noticed that I've been doing a little bit of playing about with, having a bit of fun and games with object detection using a Jetson Nano device, which is made by Nvidia. And it's really a GPU accelerated, hardware accelerated device that really gives us that extra kick of processing power. So I just wanted to quickly show you the things that we got set up here. So in terms of, if I flick over to my GitHub a second, you can see that I've basically forked a repository from Paul DiCarlo. So this is Paul DiCarlo's fantastic how-to guide. Basically, it's a series of modules that Paul has put together. That he's actually, he's teamed up with a colleague of his, Eric, where they basically go through a series of YouTube live streams, really showing how all of this pieces together. So I just wanted to call that out. I've forked this, but if you go over to Paul's GitHub, which he is Toolbox, TOOLBOC on GitHub, you can obviously take a copy of this repository yourself. But I just wanted to quickly show what all of this was all about. So let's just jump straight on in. So I'm going to show you my VLC. So there's me. I think I'm slightly out. Maybe if I start waving at the camera over there. There we go. We got a little bit of a delay. But you can see that this is this is my VLC player. And it's detecting objects. So I've got this white bounding box around me, so it's detecting me as a person. It's got a red one here, which I'm assuming is detecting the chair. We got the laptop, and we can see that they've got another camera. So there's a camera in the studio here that I'm pointing at now, that will eventually show up on there. And I've got a camera in the other room facing out to the street, basically to see if it can recognize cars. And you can see that we've got these little bounding boxes around cars. It's not perfect. It's not picked up these cars or the cars at the top there. And I'll briefly talk about that in a second. But I just wanted to show you the general theme is that we're taking two RTSP, so they're streams essentially. You can see there's the stream at the top. Well, you can't actually see it, but if I move that down a bit, you can see the stream URL is basically the IP of my camera on a port. And we're able to pick up this multiplex dual image, and I'll show you how we get to that. So this is actually being broadcast from the Jetson Nano device, which is just sat in front of me here. Have a little look at my my Twitter. In fact, I might quickly just call that up just so you can see what that looks like. I've posted a few images about it over the last few days or so. So if I scroll down, you'll see. There we go. So that's it there. So that's my Jetson Nano. That's sat just in front of me. That's the thing that's multiplexing that that image together, and is actually giving us this picture here. Okay, so I just wanted to see. So on this side of the screen now, I'm actually using Windows Terminal. I'm actually on SSH onto my Jetson Nano. And the point is that this is an edge device. So I just wanted to show you that the way things actually run on this edge device are in containers, surprisingly enough. You can see that I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 containers actually running on this edge device. This Edge agent, Edge Hub. We've got Azure Blob storage on IoT Edge. We've got this thing called a camera tagging module, this element of deep stream analytics, and this Nvidia Deep Stream SDK. So this container is actually the container that is producing this image over here. So we can do things, like look at the Docker logs of that Nvidia Deep Stream SDK. As soon as I hit enter here, you'll see we get this flurry of information. So, I mean, what this is basically all the messages that are being sent from the Nvidia Jetson Nano device as part of this application that's producing this image. And it's all the information around these bounding boxes. So if I just Control-C it and we take a look at one or two of these messages, we can see that, at 9:29, 48, which, like I say, this is running about 10 minutes out at the moment, purely because it's playing catch up with all the messages that are being sent through. And by the way, this timestamp is in UTC, so it's out with my computer. But you can see it's picking up this sensor ID of Studio, which is the camera there that you can see me on in the corner. But we've also got this camera sensor called Street, and you can see the kind of things that it's detecting. So these numbers here are actually the bounding box coordinates, like the top corner, the bottom corner, the width and the height, and then the object that it's actually detected. So it's detected a person, a cup, a laptop. Don't know what it's actually recognizing as a cup there. A keyboard, a cell phone. So it's actually taking all those detections and it's sending these messages up somewhere. And I'll show you that in a second. So I just wanted to quickly show you that was what was happening. And where is it sending those messages? So it's actually part of the configuration and how we get these containers onto the Edge device is really, if I flick on over to my VS Code, we got this concept of a deployment template. And you can see that this is essentially how we're deploying our containers to our Edge device. And I'm using VS Code. Again, this is all in Paul's how-to guides. But you can see I'm effectively running those sort of 6 containers. And you can see here down the side, we've got the 6 containers showing up in my IoT hub. So I got this IoT hub called Jonnychipz Jetson IoT Hub. I've got a single edge device called John Jetson, which is that Jetson Nano. And then I got 6 modules, 6 containers running on it. The Edge agent, which is, if you like, the default agent that runs the Edge hub. And I've got these custom modules. And we can see, so this is how we can deploy them using a template. So you can see we're specifying sort of, what container image we want to use, what the ports are. And some of these are default containers from Microsoft packaged up. Others are, versions of the DeepStream SDK running a particular sample application on it. In this case, I'm running this sample application that we can multiplex various video sources, whether they are RTSP feeds, whether they're USB devices, or even just plain media files. So you can see that this is my app, my test app. That's the entry point. And we're feeding in this configuration file for this thing called YOLO v3 Tiny. Now, YOLO, in case you're not aware, is actually a machine learning, or it's a trained model to detect, I believe, up to 80 kind of different types of object. So it's a pretty general model that you can use to kind of for image detection. However, there is another way that we can do this in that we can use custom AI. So we can use something like Custom Vision AI, and there's actually a configuration file that we could use. So if I show you the YOLO v3 configuration file, this is the kind of thing that we use to actually piece together our pipeline. So our video analytics pipeline, I'm not going to call up any slides or PowerPoint, but to all intents and purposes, we need to display the outputs. And, in the config file, we've got this area called a tile display. Well, if we look at this is the tile display. We're going to enable it as a 1. we're going to give it 2 rows, 1, 2, and 1 column, which is 1. So you can imagine you can split these up to be kind of a multiplexed array of video feeds, much like you'd see in a CCTV system. So you could say, rows 2, columns 2, that would give you 4 images, or sort of rows 2, columns 4, up to 8 images. And I believe the Jetson Nano can support up to 8 video streams. Obviously, then you go into the Jetson Xavier or some of the bigger edge computing devices if you're going to start, needing to manipulate sort of 30, 40, 50, upwards of hundreds of devices and cameras. So obviously, this is a learning exercise for me at the moment. So you can kind of see that these config files can be played about with. They take a little bit of understanding. But there we go. You can see my first camera feed, and you can see that it's an RTSP. There we go. There's the local IP of my camera. It is on Wi-Fi. It's a Type 2, which is a URI. There's my URI. And that URI basically relates to this image in the bottom here. Okay. Source 1, again, is another URI on a different IP. Surprise, surprise, relates to this image. Actually, I think it's the other way around. But so that's it. That's source 0. This is source 1. You can do quite a bit with it. So you basically configure. If I can find it here in the config. So when we multiplex these streams together, we say, right, we've got 2 cameras, therefore we've got 2 batches. So we need to take that image every so many frames. We want to take an image and we want to run the object detection piece over that image. And if we scroll down, yeah, it's not in there. So if I find that, bear with. Right, okay, so we've got 2 camera feeds. We've got our object detection model. I'm just trying to find where the URL is for there. So it's like finding a needle in a haystack at some points. And like I say, a lot of this is very new to me as well at the moment. So I'm learning a lot of this stuff as we go. There we go. There it is. So there's our config file. Actually, for the inference engine, so the model that's going to detect the objects. And like I say, we're using this YOLO v3, which isn't the only way of doing it. So one of the other things that you can do is you can change or train your own custom vision model, which there's a text file. It looks very similar, but rather than using the YOLO v3, we're going to use this config file of custom vision AI. And one of those containers that goes up as part of the deployment is actually, if I can find which screen I was in, is actually this image capture module. So this is pretty cool. So I don't know, that seems to have, let me see if I can refresh it there. So you saw it was there a second ago. There we go. So there's like a live image. You'll see there's no object detection on at the moment, but I could literally capture that image. I could say, right, I want to detect a vehicle. I'm going to give the, 1, 2, 3, give the image a name, save image. Okay. Image has been saved. Now, if I go back over to images now, you'll see that I've got this one image saved there. I can click on it, and now I can add a tag. Okay. So I can add multiple tags. So if I select all, what I can actually do is now upload those directly to my Custom Vision AI app. So if I click on Custom Vision and I choose my training key and my endpoint and click on Next, select my Jonnychipz module, push to Custom Vision, success. Now if I browse Custom Vision and I log on to my model, you'll see that I've got this thing called Jonnychipz module. So if I click into that, you should see that there is that image that I just uploaded there. So I've literally just uploaded that image. So I can click on that image and I can actually start to tag the image. You can see that if I hover over a particular car or whatever it may be, I can say, right, I want to tag that, and I'm going to call that a van. Yeah, I'm going to tag that. I'm going to call that a car. I'm going to tag that, and it's not capturing the entire car. So I'm going to drag that out a little bit, and I say that's a car. That there is a van. Yeah, and so on and so forth. You can see that I've just tagged 4 vehicles. Now, it depends on what I'm actually training this image to do. If it's just vehicles I want to tag, then that's all I'm going to do. But you can imagine now, I think by default, so if I just OK that, you can see the other images that I've uploaded. In order to get really basic and to get through to the next stage, you need to use a minimum of 15 images. However, you can imagine that there are various weather conditions, lighting conditions that can affect the way that vehicles look in your picture. So I've not delved into this in any huge detail. I've just gone and used that YOLO model, which kind of just detects cars and vehicles to a point. It's not bang on, and I think that's because obviously my camera's mounted inside a window. There's a bit of glare. There's lots of atmospheric conditions and lighting conditions that make it difficult for the YOLO model to actually detect cars. So I can use this custom vision to train my own model, essentially. Now, if I wanted to get a lot of images, you can see this is quite a time-consuming thing. So there is a script you can use. So I've got this little bash script. If I open this up in Notepad for a second, you can see I'm just using this FFmpeg utility. If I zoom in a little bit, basically to pass through 2 RTSP feeds, which are my studio camera and my apartment camera, the one looking out onto the street. And I'm basically going to create, I'm setting a counter. I'm creating a JPEG street counter number, and I'm just iterating that. Every 15 seconds, I'm capturing that image. So I ran this the other day for a bit of time. You can see that I ended up with a lot of images captured. So literally I can, open one of these images up, and I can scan through, and literally you can if I scan through quite on a quick basis, you can actually start to see it's like a time lapse. But basically, you can see if I left this running overnight, there's people that walk into the scene, obviously, there's people on bikes. I could start tagging each of these images, and you can appreciate this will take time. So I'm literally clicking through every image as we go now, and you can see that shadow moving quite comically every 15 seconds on the image. But every time there's a car, there's a van, there's something else, I could tag that, and I could train my own image. And I think the kind of rule of thumb is if you've got about 150 images or so, you should end up with a pretty good model. Now, this is all been taken over a period of time when it's been quite sunny and daylight. Ideally, I'd want to capture some of these images, leave that running overnight to capture what it looks like in the dark. In fact, there we go. You can see me just nipping out in my car there. So, you can capture that in the dark, different weather conditions. You can imagine if there's rain on the glass, then you might want to take a few pictures and snapshots and tag things with those kind of different extremes of weather conditions and lighting conditions. And that kind of gives you a well-trained model. So yeah, just wanted to show you that quickly. So when it comes to now, okay, we've got our Jetson Nano in a Docker container, taking all these snaps and detecting all of these things on my my video streams and sending all these messages, as you can see, scrolling up the stream there. How do I know that they're being sent? Okay, so the first thing we can do is we can jump onto this module here within VS Code even, and we can do something called just monitoring the built-in endpoint. So all this is going to do, you can see I ran it a little while ago, is it's going to hook into the IoT hub. And every 15 seconds, we should get one of these messages, which is basically a packaged message up from our Jetson Nano in to our IoT hub. So that should come up every 15 seconds or so. And you can see that it's just a series of messages showing all the objects that were found in that previous 15 seconds of time. So we know that these messages are being sent up. And I am going to gloss over this quite a lot at the moment. But if we now jump on over into our Azure platform, you can see that I've got this time series insights thing. So if we actually, is it working? Is it working? We'll go over to time series insights. So this is an area that I've got set up, and you can see that if I just pick on the last 30 minutes or so, you can see that actually I can go a bit further than that. That we can start to kind of break down the number of detections, people, vehicles, and you can kind of format this model to suit. And there we go. You can start to really get some insights into the data. So effectively, this one here is how many people are there in the studio. Well, one, it's detected one person for all this time in the studio. That's me. What about this then? So how many vehicles in the street? So it's gone from 1 to 2 to 2. Yeah, so you can start to see how many vehicles, the actual stream. This is real-time data. So you can see, again, this actually converts UTC. You can convert your time to BST up here in the top corner, which is pretty cool. So these timestamps are actually real time. Okay, so I've got this all coming through into time series insights. So what else can I do with that? So one of the cool things is that we can kind of create a Power BI dashboard. Again, Paul talks about this in his video. And let me just see if I can update this live here now. Let me just click on refresh. Let's see if it will update quite quickly. So basically what we've got here is a Power BI dashboard that is currently trying to quickly update. I'm not sure how quick that'll be. And the Power BI dashboard is basically, I'm looking at the last 2 days worth of events on here. And if that's going to take too long to refresh, I'll jump straight into, oh, there we go. It's having a little bit of a hard time. I'll wait for it to respond. But if I jump on over into the web version of this and just give that a quick refresh, hopefully that won't take too long. But you can start to see now, I can actually get some good insights into this data. I can start to filter the data. So by sensor ID, just by street, cars. So there we go. There's the data on my cars. And you can see that we detected 1 car, then 2 car. The only thing one thing that I'm playing with, trying to work out at the moment, is this Power BI just takes the timestamps as they are, because there's no time zone, or there's no UTC written into the timestamp. So I'm trying to work out how to change these time axes labels into BST, so they're the actual real time. At the minute, in my Power BI dashboard, they're an hour out because it's UTC as a timestamp. So you can see, you can start to label things up like how many people are in the studio. Well, 1, that's me. And you can imagine if I walk out the studio, that should disappear. So this will update every fifth. This is a live tile, so every time the data changes, this in theory should change. So if a car drives into the street, there we go, just happened there. Car drove into the street just as I said it, which is pretty cool. It shows up that there's a car driven into the street. And actually, we can probably correlate that. There, it's detected 1 there. Then the boxes, again, because of the YOLO model I'm using, it should by rights be detecting, oh, there we go. So there is the car that it's detected. But it should also be detecting these parked cars, but for whatever reason it's not. And that's purely because of the YOLO V3 model clearly doesn't like the look of the cars. I mean, you can see that car there is in the shade a bit. It's very difficult to pick out. This car is at a front angle and it's got quite a bit of glare from the sunlight coming off. So back to that image tagging, if I train my own model to detect these cars in my own street, that might be a little bit more accurate. But you can see that's pretty cool what we can get out of there. So like I say, I'm not going to dwell on this too much longer. It's been good fun so far, and there's still a lot for me to start to play with. You can see that car's just disappeared now as well, which is pretty cool. You can kind of start to play about with these dashboards as well, which is kind of real-time data driven, from time series insights through to Power BI dashboards to try and capture some of this information, through to using, the capture module to capture images, or just use, a bash script to capture your own images and upload those into your custom vision AI model and start tagging. So you can start tagging these, and the more you tag, the more accurate that model's going to get. Then once you've got that model downloaded into something that you can start to configure your own deployment. So in the deployment, we can then say, right, okay, we're not going to use the YOLO V3 Tiny. We're going to use this custom vision configuration, and you can start pulling all the pieces together to deploy the pipeline. So yeah, hopefully you found that a little bit interesting. I know I found it interesting piecing it all together, and like I say, when you actually look back at to what you get with this is quite cool, and I'm going to take it a little bit further and start to look at doing something a little bit more with the AI powered cat flap that I keep meaning to get onto. But for me, this is a way of doing that. So I may use that camera to train it to recognize my cat in a particular area by the back door of the house. And if it sees it, then it can make a decision whether to open the cat flap or close the cat flap. They're very trivial applications of this technology, obviously, but the point is that in learning this sort of stuff, you can see how this translates up to enterprise and business and actual kind of real life business related requirements. Okay, so thanks so much for tuning in and listening to me. Hopefully you did find that a little bit interesting. Hit me up if there's any questions or you're interested in knowing more. Happy to have a chat with you and take you through some of the stuff that I've got together and obviously the learnings that I've taken from Paul DiCarlo. It's really good fun. So anyway, we'll leave it there for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, whether you're working or you've got the time off, just enjoy it. Hope you have some great fun. But for now, thanks for tuning in. This has been episode number 14, and we will catch you next week. Thanks all.